Was finishing one of my projects at a Dutch bank. So we were introducing regular card payments, and there were so many inefficiencies in the system. And then I got to see blockchain again, and then I was like, wow, this really is genius.
Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Blockchain Beyond Hype. Today we're talking with Maarten de Borst from Younder about blockchain technology in modern educational systems. So we're here today with Maarten. Welcome to Blockchain Zoo. We're excited to have you here to discuss blockchain technology in modern educational systems. So the world is changing so fast, and it's sometimes hard to keep up with innovations entering our lives every year. How have you gathered enough knowledge to be able to advise other companies and even prepare materials for the university?
I got into blockchain a couple of years ago. I got a call from a friend. He was really into blockchain, and I was into business. And I already read into blockchain a bit, read some articles, read some books. But at that point in time, I didn't see the problem blockchain was solving. And then fast forward 2 years, the guy gave me a call, and I read into it again. And at that point in time, I was finishing one of my projects at a Dutch bank, and there were so many inefficiencies in the system. And then I got to see blockchain again, and then I was like, wow, this really is genius. How could I have missed this the last time? So I started a bit of investing, and I'm really glad with that for two reasons, mainly because it was before the Big Bang, so it was a good financial decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that moment on, I just kept on reading, kept on writing a lot, doing experiments, small projects. We introduced a cryptocurrency for a big co-working space in Amsterdam. We actually packed it to a bottle of Heineken to keep the Heineken beer to keep the price stable.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually made the Dutch headlines of in Amsterdam. So yeah, really fun times. And I thought, okay, this knowledge is going to be worth something at some point in time. So yeah, then last year I teamed up with an old colleague of mine. We founded Younder, my small fintech firm, and yeah, we were doing a lot of innovative projects, doing a lot with education.
So you have mentioned before that working closely with businesses gives rare practical knowledge. When was the moment when you decided to get more involved in education and even collaborate with a university?
Yeah, true. I said that, and I really mean that. I love to work with interns. I hired 2 interns to just help me out because we had a lot of work to do. And then I found out that they didn't just help me, but I was learning it too. We were both learning from that. So they learned a lot from the business world, the practical, what is actually happening, because there's a big gap between, I think, still education and the real world, so to say. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, I got to know something of the world in education. What do they teach you at schools? So I really like that, and so yeah, after the intern I was talking about, he got a job at a technology firm, and he didn't learn that at his school, but just got into it with me, studied all materials over a year, and then he thought, okay, I'm just going to combine finance and technology, so he ended up there. So yeah, I think practical knowledge is definitely needed and a good thing.
Are you using the blockchain technology for one of your current projects? You have mentioned that you are organizing deliveries of second-hand computers to a few schools in Indonesia. How are you tracking them?
Yeah, so we mainly focus on fintech, so blockchain is part of that. We don't do the implementation ourselves, but we do a lot of a project with blockchain technology. Work closely with startups, have invested in some startups, working together with them. And one of those projects I was really glad to do was over here in Bali, in Candidasa, in the east, and we sent computers, second-hand donated computers to Bali, and we tracked and traced them with blockchain technology. So what we did is actually really easy. You just put an NFC chip, so the chip you put into a bank card, It's used for bank cards. Put it on some real-world item, a camera or a chair or whatever, and you can scan it with your phone, NFC reader on your phone, and then you can prove authenticity. But you can also transfer ownership. You can add pictures and where has it been, where is it going, stuff like that. So yeah, we followed the trail of blockchain, and we're doing that with an app called Recheck. It's a startup we're working together with. They're from Eastern Europe. Yeah, it's really nifty, handy app that's really easy to use, and you just scan something, prove ownership, transfer it. So see a lot of potential in, especially in track and tracing of real-world assets for blockchain technology.
How education is adjusted to the current needs has always been a question for many countries. As you had to educate yourself in an absolutely new field, where have you started? What have you done, and what sources would you recommend?
It was really exciting because there was there's still hardly any real courses on blockchain technology, bachelor's or whatever. So yeah, I just had to educate myself, and I just, when I look back on it, I did it, I think, threefold. One is reading, just read as much as you can find. The web is a great source. There's a lot of authors. I love reading Medium, for example, but also corporate articles, books, old-fashioned books, but I still like them. Secondly, it's watching, mainly documentaries, but also online courses. Coursera, for example, you can watch anything for free, well, most of it for free. And really helpful. The best professors in the world from the biggest schools, university, colleges. You can just see that. Teaches you a lot. And thirdly is, I think that's maybe the most important one, just talk to people. Talk to anyone you can find. You think this is an interesting person, let's talk to each other, especially in the emerging field of new technologies. In Amsterdam, I found myself like going to a meetup every night in the beginning, because there's like so many people that are just talking about it. So yeah, I would say those three: just read, talk, and watch, and also that's one of the things I learned: talk to people that are really pessimistic. So
okay.
Don't talk to just people that love the technology. Talk to the other side as well. People that say this is never gonna work. This is never gonna be as big as people think, because then you can form your own opinion.
Yeah, and get all perspectives as well.
Yeah.
Perception of digital natives is shifted towards video consumption. Why have you chosen the format of a book, and how are universities adjusting to the trend of video content?
Yeah, it's kind of weird actually. Such a new technology with something as old-fashioned as a book. But that's also my personal side now. That's what I really like. Something that's like intangible, somewhere in the cloud. People don't understand it, and then you have just an old-fashioned book. But that's my personal opinion. I think books and written articles are not going away. Of course, you see a lot of, indeed, like you asked, there's a lot of lectures and stuff just put online. So now, when you go to school, you really don't have a reason to go to your lecture anymore.
All over social media are floating posts by different professionals who are worried that their jobs will become automated. AI is killing many of them. How do you see educational systems following or not following this rapid shift in the job market?
Yeah, I see the worries of people. Read them a lot. I think that's something of like all ages. Just the process, creative destruction. Old professions get killed and new ones exist. So I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think the worrying part over here is that technology is changing so rapidly, exponentially almost, and only a small part of people, companies can afford to keep up with that rapid change. So especially the tech companies with big pockets, they can afford to keep up, invest a lot of money in it, a lot of resources, while the majority of people cannot. So there's a really big information gap, and I think that's the worrying part, because those especially for educational institutions, what might be the thing you end up with is that you're going to have a study, you're going to study for 4 years, and then after a couple of years you find out there's no jobs for that the thing you actually studied. So that's also one, people find like, yeah, that's not happening. But in our lectures we start a lot of times with 10 professions that didn't exist 10 years ago, and then you actually see that those professions are like all over. Everybody's doing, like social media expert, search engine optimization specialist, SEO, big data, stuff with AI, blockchain, and it's all really common right now, but it didn't exist 10 years ago. So it's really changing rapidly, and I think, yeah, the educational system really has to be, run faster in order to keep up with that.
Could you give us a story of an institution which was looking into integrating the blockchain technology? Where did they start and fail, and what did it take them to actually do it successfully?
Yeah, like I said, we don't do the implementation ourselves, but we work closely together with startups. So what I see generally right now is that not too many of projects go beyond the pilot phase. And that's for different reasons, but mainly because of the reason that all of a sudden it gets like real, data cannot be altered anymore. People really have to, well, this whole purpose of blockchain, have to work together from different companies. So we rarely see that. And yeah, we saw such a thing ourselves as well. We did a pilot with the same app I was telling you about, the transfer of ownership app, and we were using that to find out where is my clothing coming from.
Okay.
I'm a pretty curious person, so I was just asking myself, where does my clothing come from? And then you try to find out, and then you find out that it's really not possible to find out. So we tried that with blockchain technology, and we had some pretty, we learned a lot. We had some pretty good mentors, so to say, really high up in the business. They were like sponsoring us, like, okay, we're going to talk to other people high up. And when the first talks were always, okay, let me know more. And after that, they found out, like, okay, but this is going to kill my business model, because you guys want transparency, and I get money because of intransparent markets, and people just didn't want that. So what we mainly learned is that that we were skipping it there was not the right industry to start in, because it's like too old-fashioned. Everything is, so clothing is really physical. There's no digital, well, not too much digital in the clothing industry. So we found out, like, okay, it's maybe impossible to just go from physical, skip the digital part, and then go directly to blockchain. So that's what we learned. So yeah, but it was really helpful.
Okay. Being one of the early users and early adopters of the blockchain technology, which use cases have been the first and why, and which use cases are about to follow, in your opinion?
Well, the first one is obvious. I think for me it was definitely global currencies, especially because of the fact that it just still doesn't make sense to me that we have the internet since end of the 60s, the web since somewhere in the 90s, beginning of the 90s, and we still don't have a global currency. So currencies just stop at a border, which is really a weird thing. Yeah. Well, for me. So I really like the idea of maybe it's Bitcoin or maybe some other currency, of some currency you can pay. Well, it's like the native internet currency. Secondly, and that's also referring to the last question you asked, I expect the next use cases in blockchain technology to be use cases which are already kind of digital already. So, for example, stock certificates or financial instruments, they're all digitally traded, but part of the bookkeeping still is on paper. So it's really easy to just manage that on blockchain technology. And thirdly, and that's one I'm really looking forward to, you already see some use cases on that, is the tokenization of real world assets, cars, houses, whatever. Just you can divide everything into 100,000 million pieces if you would like, sell everything accordingly, transfer the ownership within seconds instead of days, weeks, or some countries months. So yeah, I see a lot of advantages over there.
Okay. What main topics and aspects of the blockchain technology, which we should keep an eye on, do you cover in your book?
I like the multidisciplinary approach, and not just see one side, but also see a different one and another one. And I think based on that, blockchain is twofold. Blockchain is both financial, has financial roots, and also digital. So we're covering, those are the two first chapters of the book. And why do we do that? That's because of, just let me give you an example. We're here in Bali, and if I want to convince you of the value of a bamboo straw, for example, to drink your Coke, I'm not just going to tell you about the straw and try to convince you. What I'm also going to do, I'm going to tell you about where the straw is coming from. So it used to be made of plastic, but the plastic ends up in the ocean, so pollution, and then the fish eat the plastic and we eat the fish, and eventually medical costs can go up, so you better have the straws, the bamboo straws.
Yeah.
Better for everyone, right?
Yeah.
So that's also what that line of reasoning, maybe that's a little bit of an easy one, but that line of reasoning we find really important, because you're not gonna just tell someone about the solution, blockchain, without knowing the problem.
Yeah.
That's just really hard for you to get a hold on. So that's what we're doing. How does the financial system work? Really complicated financial system, global financial system we have. So we're talking about the advantages, the crisis, and the pitfalls, digital. The same line of reasoning, and then we go deeper into what might be the solution, blockchain technology, how does it work, what can you do with it, and we had 20 to 30-ish interviews, I think, for the book with researchers, entrepreneurs, lawyers, people from different kind of CTOs, different fields, just to form our opinion, so like crowdsource our opinion. So really looking forward to 1st of August.
Okay.
Yeah.
1st of August, keep it in mind.
Yeah.
The blockchain technology is creating a tremendous shift. If you were to explain what this technology means for the world, what would you say to a grandfather? And what would you say to a child?
Great question.
Yeah.
Love the question. Two completely different answers to start with. Grandfather, talking about not knowing the problem, like we just discussed, I think it's really hard to explain it really, the advantage of blockchain technology, because they don't know the problems of digital. Well, at least my grandmother doesn't.
Mine wouldn't either.
Mine was actually in typewriters, so
Okay.
I'm really sure. What I say to them, I would say, this technology has the potential to change the way we transact with each other, and you'll what will your benefits be? Less paperwork, less checks and balances, and more time with your grandchildren, for example.
Okay. What about to a child?
To a child, yeah, like I said, completely different story. Mainly because they're digital natives. They're better with computers and tablets than we both are, probably. And they don't know anything else than just digital. So that's the hard part, I think. What would I say to them? I would say that the frictionless world in which they transact with each other in the computer games could be possible in real life with blockchain technology.
Okay. What kind of possibilities should educational institutions see in the demand for a new scope of specific knowledge on fintech and blockchain?
Yeah, I think the fintech scene, like all the financial education nowadays, is I think it's going to be hard because there has hardly been any innovation over the past decades in finance. You have a lot of people that are educated for financial professions, so I think that's going to change a lot. So they really have to cope with that. And also with blockchain, but maybe in general for education. So for those two as well, I would say three things: more cooperation between private institutions and educational services, just in order to keep up to date what is happening in the field, and so that you can change your or adapt your curriculum on a regular basis. Secondly is more internships, just do more internships. And thirdly, and that's a thing that's a lot of the time not addressed well enough, is keep on questioning. Always keep on questioning. Okay, so I just learned how to sell mortgages. They ask you, is this the most efficient way? Could we do it like another? Is there a technology to make it easier, or maybe could you think of a technology that could make these? So, in short, like what could technology bring to this new technology? Is this the way we do it because it's invented by people?
Well, this has been interesting. Thank you for telling us about Younder and how the educational system is absorbing the knowledge of blockchain technology. We do like to ask all of our guests, how do you envision blockchain changing the world?
I would say if it fulfills all the promises, I see a really bright future with mainly frictionless payments, like frictionless transactions, I have to say. Transactions is one of the foundations of our economic system, and are going to increase also almost exponentially with the Internet of Things and so many technologies that are going to be working closely together, computers working closely together with humans, etc., etc. So transactions are the most, one of the most important things, and I think blockchain is a beautiful tool to realize that.
And how do you think the market for blockchain-based solutions will evolve?
Yeah, like I said before, it's I think first going to be currencies, global currencies. Secondly, it's going to be items that are already or records that are already digital now. And thirdly, it's going to be real-world assets, so tokenization of assets. If you're going to look up the service, or the only thing you care about is the service or the product you buy, and then you eventually find out, this is running on blockchain, and you're just going to look it up. But I don't think it will be like advertised. This product is running on blockchain. Buy it right now. Nobody will notice that this product or service is running on blockchain technology. So I think that it will be mainly under the hood technology that's can fix a lot of problems we face today, mainly transactional problems.
Okay. Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you again for coming to speak with us at Blockchain Zoo about the way educational institutions view the blockchain technology.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for watching, guys. We at Blockchain Zoo are excited to bring you our new guest on our next episode.